Commissioner, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Again, welcome everyone to the meeting today. We've got a pretty busy day ahead of us today. I know some of us do anyway. So we'll try to get through as quickly as possible, but get everything covered that we can. Gentlemen, you've had a chance to read the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections?
I move that accept. I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion been made and accepted. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We have a fairly full agenda today, so we'll begin, and I think Cecilia, you're the first one up.
Let me silence my phone real quick. Okay, I have a lot for you guys to sign today. The first thing I have is the grant agreement has come in. It has been reviewed by both myself and the attorney. And so I'm here to present it to you for signatures. This is for the Blue River Fire District project that's got awarded. And so it needs to be signed by the president, by the auditor, and the attorney. And you need to vote.
I'll make a motion to sign the document presented.
Second. Okay, motion made and seconded. We go ahead and adopt the agreement for the grant for the Blue River Fire District.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Okay. So I have two copies here. One will go to you, and the other will go to the art copy. I don't think it makes any difference. And this is gonna, so what you're gonna do, sorry, I didn't set these up. You'll sign here, you'll sign here, Sarah, you'll sign here, and then I will sign too. And what we'll do is we'll mail these back to the state, and they will sign it, and then I will get you back your copy. Well, actually, we'll try and So I'm not doing that. This is the signature card.
16.
To sign before the lines. So you're just. That's part of the same document, by the way. The next thing I'm going to be showing you is part of the same document that you just voted on. It's a signature card. I'm going to have you sign it and Sarah sign it as well. And it just says that these are the people who can sign their claims.
Did you vote on that?
No, it was already voted on. This is part of the same document. This is where you are.
do right now on that project?
Well, I have a calendar here if you'd like to look at it. Bidding, we estimate to be advertised bids in January is when we're estimating. We have to get the grant agreements fully executed. We have to do the environmental review. The architect we're in contract now. He's gonna do the specs and plans, and so it takes all that time before we can even bid it. So we're estimating January, it might be sooner.
So you told me after the bids let out, we can start on the project. The building project.
Once we get release of funds, those funds have to be completed by May 31st, but we anticipate that release of funds will probably be sooner than that, but then construction will begin after that. Is that your question?
No, my question is,
When can he enter the
approximately what
project?
date can we start the application for the fairgrounds building project? You said we had to wait till after the bids.
Once the construction contracts have been signed. So it's after bids. So construction bids should be signed by March. So depending on, we'll find out when they're going to send the proposals for the next project. And if that is under, then you guys can send it for your next proposal. Okay? Okay, so we got these two. The next thing I have is this one is request for release of funds. Basically, it's saying that we did all the environmental review. I sent out letters to all the state agencies, and they responded saying that everything was okay. I've sent out notices in the paper saying that the environmental review, and that's going under process right now. So this is just saying that, yes, we've done all of that, and we're going to request for that you release funds.
On the same project?
Same project. The next thing I'm going to have you sign is, this is the contract between Washington County Commissioners and the architect, Covert Hawkins, which you already voted on, so I just need signatures. This should be the last one. Now we're on a new project. And this is the closeout documents for the Blue River Services Salem Facility Project. You signed the documents from closeout 1. Oker came, we had a monitoring. They approved the monitoring. They sent a letter which Sarah has received and reviewed, and it basically said everything was done well. And so now we're just signing final documents. And these final documents are basically saying that you received a $500,000 grant. They used $461,397.69, and you are de-obligating $38,602.31. The reason why you're de-obligating is because construction bids came in a lot lower than anticipated, and so we didn't need all those funds. And then the last, this is closeout document 3, and this basically says that all of the funds that we used were grant funds that are and used appropriately, which we monitored and have been. Okay?
Are we meeting this month?
Yes. On Thursday, was it 27th? Not this week, but next week. No, you just sign this one, and Dan signs that one. So you're here. And that's everything. questions of me? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Cecilia.
Thank you, Steve.
So I'll
well
get you
done.
copies of everything.
Okay.
Is it okay? Did you want copies? Wait,
I still got it in
okay,
the
very
email.
good.
You've already emailed us, but you might announce to everyone the reception of the new building on
Oh,
Reed Avenue.
the October 25th, there is an open house for the Blue River Services Salem facility. It is a project that was funded with Oprah funds with River Hills Grant Administration on it, and it is fully constructed and it's beautiful. They did a fabulous job, and so they're having an open house on October 25th, I believe, from like 1 till 4, and that's on Reed Avenue. I want to say 504 Reed Avenue, does that sound right?
I don't know the numbers, but it's
Might be
over
bigger than
there.
504, it's about ballpark.
If you just say behind Meadow View.
Behind Meadow View.
There you go.
That'll
So,
work.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Steve. Mr. Hank Jacoby. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How you doing, Hank?
Great. Forgive me, Commissioners. I've been neglectful. It's been over 9 months since my last update. Basically, so just to get some quick updates under the way, we had 4 major goals besides increasing our membership that we wanted to accomplish. One was to increase our membership benefits, and I'm happy to sit here and report to you that right now, the way we sit, we meet or exceed the member benefits that any chamber in our surrounding area can give, including One Southern. We've the new thing that we've improved, well, our hospitality program has improved. Lincoln Hills Insurance Agency, we've just underwritten them in terms of our support for a new health exchange that is already in compliance with the upcoming Affordable Health Care Act. So they've been taking a real proactive approach about that. We get a good discount for chamber members, but it gives businesses and individuals a lot more flexibility and is tailored to meet their needs. We're also doing project management with all of our upcoming events. So we take a 4-step process, and we're kind of unveiling this within the chamber first. Although we've already seen Old Settlers Days organization and the Rotary Club start to use this process as well. Basically, it entails visualizing and then planning, making your implementation a lot easier, and then always closing out, so that we always do a debrief, we always understand what we could have done better, so that we can apply it to next year. In fact, part of the visualizing stage, and I actually did my notes today to come to see you on a thing called Mind Map that I wanted to share with you. Basically, this is a open source program called FreeMind. I don't need to leave you out. But there are several different tools out there. But basically what it allows you to use your right side of your brain, your creative side of your brain, to capture all your thoughts. And then you can put it down into outline form like this. And it's just a free, it's just a real quick export. So anyway, our current benefit standing, like I said, we're pretty proud of the fact that, and we're in some cases we're 50% the cost, like of One Southern or something like that, and yet we're still able to support our community in the same way that they're doing it right now, including the insurance, which was the last piece of the puzzle. Goal 2 was to grow existing and introduce new events. So our Spring Friday Night on the Square grew last year about 10%. A little over. The Fall Friday Night on the Square that we just had actually grew 20%. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we started getting a crowd at 5:30, and typically it had been not until 6:30. And then the mix, typically we had mostly teenagers from 9 until 10 o'clock on Friday Night on the Square, and this year we had a good mix all the way through. Now I think a big part of that was the climbing wall that we partnered with the YMCA to bring onto the square, which those of you who were there know that, we had almost 200 bodies go up that climbing wall throughout the evening. It was real fun. The Christmas parade, obviously is real big. It used to go around a couple blocks a couple years ago, and now we're bringing it all the way down South Main, or up South Main Street, so that's a big growth there. Of course, our in with Santa has been a big success. Last year, we saw 810 kids. And last year, I'm sorry to say, it was the first time we started really counting them, but we will do that. We'll try to increase that. But we also now are able to offer, Santa has agreed to come down to do parties for organizations and for businesses, as well as go into people's homes. So we've done, I think we've done a really good job of being able to offer that. The annual dinner grew about 20% last year, and then we've got a new event called the COSI that we kicked off on Labor Day Saturday. This COSI event is actually one of the things that we're doing a full-blown project plan this year on, and it's going to really, the idea behind the COSI is to celebrate the COSI Academy that was here in Salem back in the 1800s, and really start focusing on education and culture. Particularly how it applies to locally grown, or actually locally produced products here in the area. So I don't know if you did, just a brief history for people in the room who may not know this, but back in the 1800s there was an academy called the COSI that was on it was on the site where the Yellow House is on College Avenue and 56, right there in that corner. And people traveled as far as New Orleans and St. Louis to go to school there. So if you can imagine, back in the 1800s, taking the steam paddle wheel boat up the Mississippi from New Orleans, and then coming up through the Ohio, getting off in Louisville, and then taking a horse up from Louisville to go to school here. Back in the 1800s, Salem was considered which is probably one of the reasons why General Morgan, was such a prize for him. But it was considered a cultural and educational center of the region. And in fact, Salem at one time, its nickname was the Athens of the West. And so this event, ECOSI, is really designed to try to bring back that spirit. Goal number 3 was the low-tech, high-concept for local production awareness. ECOSI is one of those things that we're using to do that as well. So it's a double hitter. We get a new event. We're drawing people into the county, but also we're showcasing what our capabilities are here in the county. And then the County Agricultural Guide. We're kicking that off this fall and try to get a printing next spring. But basically that's going to be a network of everybody who produces anything in the county. We're hoping that actually can expand to a regional thing, but we want to do our county first. County Marketing Guide, got that here for you. We've gotten that in and published. You can get extra copies at the Chamber of Commerce office, but this is designed to go along with economic growth packages for people who are visiting town or people who want to relocate. So it's got a pretty good directory in here, and then it highlights all the different the different spots that make our county so unique.
Is that your picture?
What's that?
Is that your picture?
No, I don't have a picture.
Inside of the picture.
I'm not that good of a picture. All right, that's quick. That was quickly. I know I'm probably missing stuff, but the big thing is the lighting of the courthouse. The reason why I wanted to talk to you guys, we have some material that we're going to do and finish off the south side. We're going to we're looking at putting on the arches, to complete the tower, and then we're looking at actually doing some of the basement windows so that we can get a full lighting picture there. But one of the other things that we were looking at, and we need your permission for this, is we also wanted to put some speakers around the square. So we actually got 3 quotes. One came in way high, another one's not too bad, and I still haven't gotten the third one yet. But what it will entail is putting 4 wireless pods around each corner of the square, and then supporting 2 speakers each. Each one of those pods would have their own amplifier and a receiver, And then the transmitter could be housed either in the courthouse, or it could be, it's a 3,000-foot range, so we could actually house it in the chamber office in City Hall. And then it could play, CDs, it could play, radio, we can, do WSLM over it if we wanted to. But it could also be hooked up to a wireless microphone, so you can do announcements when you have events on the square. People who are doing car shows, or people who, like Friday Night on the Square, or any such event around the square could take advantage of that kind of capability. But then also during the holidays, obviously, we can be playing Christmas music. So that's something we'd like to do, but one of the plans is, in order to keep from a trip hazard, there's about 18 inches that go from the base of the lamppost to the inside square. What we wanted to do is cut a groove in that concrete, then run the wire, and then fill the concrete back over, so that we can run the wire, inside underground, basically. So I want you guys to consider that, and it would really be helpful in terms of cost if that could be labor from the county. I don't know if but some of your roads guys or whatever.
Well, Tony's probably get excited about doing.
No, Tony, we've talked to Tony. He's completely on board. I just was talking about, I don't know, concrete saw or concrete.
Tony.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and then the other thing is, the chamber is willing to, has actually voted to go ahead and support this, but it has to be under the county name because it's on county property. But there's 2 licensing organizations for all music that's being played over. ASCAP is one of them, and BMI is the other one. Getting those 2 licenses, they're about $400 a piece for a year for our population base. It covers anything that's being piped out in any kind of county building or on county property. But it's something for the county's protection that I would recommend that we go ahead and do. I've already done the research. I can bring you guys the documents, or I can PDF them to you.
Do you have to do both?
Yeah. One's an artist organization, I think BMI, and then the other one is ASCAP, is songwriters and producers and that kind of thing. There is a third one, but it's such a small percentage. I really don't think we'll get in trouble with it. But doing the COSI, there was a lot of learning that we did in terms of getting the state fire marshal out there involved, getting our we had wine and beer served on the site, so we had to make sure we got our excise police involved and took care of all that, including insurance and making sure all of our bases are covered. So in terms of doing that, the chamber also had to get a 1-day licensing permit from these 2 organizations, because we also had bands playing there, and most of the bands were cover bands, so they played other people's music instead of original. So knowing that, and knowing that we would really like to get speakers on the square, I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that.
Where did you say these would be put now?
Well, so the initial plan is to put one on, you have 2 lampposts that are on the entrance, on each compass direction entrance. And then you have 2 that are on, they kind of straddle a corner. So the idea was to put one on an entrance and then one on one of the corners. And that would take care of one corner. So one would be pointed in. So if you're looking at the south east side, for example, one would be pointed in towards like the police station. And then one would be pointed directly down South Main Street. And the idea behind this plan is that as we raise money in future years, we can actually put more speakers. But these speakers that we're looking at are actually like a 360 directional, low profile speaker with very good sound, as opposed to the big cone looking speakers that to me just kind of detract from the aesthetic value of the ground. So that's what we're looking at. And then the idea is that we can mount speakers on the other poles as we get more money. But the amplifier will be able to take it. It'll just be the cost of the speaker.
We're talking about the lamp posts.
Yes.
That have the flags and stuff on them.
No, the actual lamp post.
Right. But I mean, like when we do like the Exchange Club flags go out on like 8 holidays a year. So will these be higher than that, kind of out?
Well, actually, we were planning on mounting them directly below the light itself.
Okay. Okay.
This will approve and you try to get it done by Christmas this year.
Yeah, we'll try to get it done by the parade, right, which will be that Saturday after Thanksgiving. So the parade can actually have music.
I think this is a good idea. I think this was probably what was one of the phases of the first phase, put the lights up.
Yep.
Second phase was, I think we approved. I like the idea myself. And Mr. Chairman, I approve that they continue with this project.
You placing that in a motion?
Yes.
Are you, hold on, are you making a motion to spend money?
No, he didn't ask
Okay.
for money. He just asked
Okay.
for approval from the
All right.
commissioners to put these speakers on. I'll make that motion.
Now, just one question, so when you cut the concrete, how far down do you go, like 6 inch all the way through?
I'd have to, yeah,
I mean, I don't
leave that
know.
to Tony.
I mean, it's not gonna.
I guess in my mind, but I'm not an expert at this kind of stuff, I was just thinking like a 6-inch, run it down, so just underneath the ground level,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but that may all be all the way through then.
Yeah,
I think that's
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Tony is,
Yeah.
Okay,
he would know what to do.
You saw that in about 2 seconds.
so I guess you could just fill that back up with concrete after that.
Right.
Right. Just a cut section, like a 6-inch wide section.
No, just a groove, enough for a wire.
Why, just the side, just the wire side.
So I'm thinking it's just gonna be the thickness of the saw curve itself.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and I'm wondering if, frankly, if a hole can be drilled down and through and then it just brought out under the concrete, that's something to work out with Tony.
Tony will know that.
I'll second the motion then.
Okay, motion been made and second. We go ahead and support this endeavor of the chamber. Go ahead and put wiring in and speakers. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. You're good.
All right, and then the other thing is.
Point that one right at Tom's office. I'll keep it.
And then the other thing is around the licensing.
You said
And that's,
southeast, so it takes care of Tom.
that's, just for the county's protection, I guess. But I'll send you that information, decision, I'll just send it to you and, okay. Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and send it to me and to Sarah?
Okay, I'll do that. All right, is there any other questions?
I just have one question about, on the insurance. Can you explain that again, what you've got Lincoln Hills?
Yeah, basically, what we've done was, we put together an insurance committee when Lincoln Hills made its proposal, so it was headed up by Lee Jager, the CEO of the hospital. He did a full-fledged interview with them, dug down, his team did, and then came back to the board and basically said, that they thought it was a good idea for us to support this. But basically, the Affordable Health Care Act is coming out with this healthcare exchange where you have different options that you can choose from. And even within, I guess like a company, a large company's benefit package, there is some options that can be provided so that it's not one size fits all. I know that one of the challenges that we've had at Kimball Office was that people have different needs, and so Kimball Office has actually been able to offer 3 over the last couple of years, as opposed to just 1 in years past. But I think this gives even more options. It's really kind of tailored towards smaller businesses, especially businesses who are 50 or over. The law, you can have 49, but once you hit 50, then you have to provide health care for everybody. But we actually, the last report that I had was that some of our larger businesses are actually looking into this. Same thing. So it's something that, is going to come, I can't remember what the date is where the healthcare, the health exchange has to be set up in the state level. But this is, basically they're running ahead of the pack and making sure that they've got their stuff set up before the state has to have everything on statewide.
I just have a concern that you're maybe promoting one insurance company over some of the others.
No, we're promoting all of our chamber members, but we're promoting this packet as, we're just saying that we support it.
I'm just kind of questioning this.
Sorry, on that, didn't see it.
Where's the, where do you intend the $800? Is that into the licensing? Where's that funding going to come from?
The $800?
Yes.
Like I said earlier, the chamber is more than willing to sponsor that,
Okay.
but it's got to be in the county's name.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, because there was a question about that up there also.
No, the chamber's already voted on it, and we were actually going to go ahead and get the licensing, but it's not our property, so we can't have it in our name. If one of the, and that's something that, and everybody probably should know this, over the last couple of years, especially as budgets have gotten extremely tight, these organizations have been policing very, very hard. Excise has been, has been doing it on all state levels, but also these BMI and ASCAP guys have been hitting. I mean, I've heard of little wineries getting hit with $2,500 fines because they had some, single guitar guy sitting there playing some music and they did not have a permit.
Thank you, Ike.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Joe?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Eric is going to hand out a little agenda for you of some of the things we want to cover today.
Thank you.
Eric, what's your last name? W-E-F is in Frank, L-E-F.
Yeah, with me today is Eric Wefflin. He's going to be my project manager working with me on this project. I'm one of the project architects. And a lot of you probably know Les Smith from Shireman. I guess Mark's in the dental chair this morning.
Yeah, he's in the dental chair.
Better him than me.
Yes, for sure.
But we prepared a, you need my name, don't you? I go by a lot of things. For the record, I'm Joe Marac.
Okay, I thought that.
We've prepared a little bit of agenda of a couple things we'd like to go over. Kind of, start thinking a little bit about the jail project and how we might do that. We've put some thoughts together. Obviously, no decisions have been made on anything yet. We've put some thoughts together as to how to proceed. First of all, progress to date. We had a bit of an organizational meeting with Ice Miller and Umbaugh and so forth to establish what the schedule of the project might be, how the design schedule would proceed, how a funding schedule would proceed. And Ice Miller had put together a timeline and so forth. Basically, the process will take approximately 6 months, 4 to 6 months before we can start construction. The financing process will take about 6 months. Design will take at least 4. And so we discussed that, kind of coordinated our work efforts and what we need to provide each other. From a design standpoint, our starting point is the design that we had done back in 2005. As you remember, the project was designed and it was bid once before, but it was never constructed. So what we're doing is we're going back to the original design and taking a look at it and saying, okay, number one, there are new codes in effect since 2005. Right? We have new building code, International Building Code, International Mechanical Code. NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, has come up with some new standards for smoke detectors and things like that. So our engineering disciplines are reviewing the original plans, to look at what code compliance issues we need to update on those drawings. So that the strategy that we're trying to do is, number one, use as much of the old design as possible and change what we need to change from a code standpoint and change the design of things that we can make more efficient. And that's both structurally and energy-wise and so forth. Then likewise, our mechanical electrical people are combing through the plans and specs before and looking at what, evaluating the old design and looking at things that we can do more efficiently. For example, lighting. I think all of the light fixtures on the whole project are going to be updated with newer light fixtures. There's new technologies, more energy efficient light fixtures. So every light fixture that was spec before will probably get an upgrade to be more energy efficient. The same thing with things like boilers and hot water heaters. They're just more efficient pieces of equipment now. So we will research all that and update all those specifications. And we're in the process now, from a code standpoint and a mechanical electrical standpoint, of saying, we're going through the plans, what are these things that we can kind of attack and make more efficient or reduce the cost of from a construction standpoint. And I'll get into that a little bit later. One of the things also we're kicking around is we're trying to limit our construction cost. And so one thing we're going to do a little bit different than before is we're going to kind of slice and dice the design a little bit to create a series of bid packages. And the intent is to give the county the most flexibility in solving your most immediate problems and for the least cost, and giving you a menu of things that we can do. And here's an example. So this is basically the entire design, and I'll orient you a little bit. Actually, this is the old design, the original design, where we're adding here a new cell block, 204 beds, in the existing jail, and we're putting a new kitchen and laundry back on this will be the west side of the jail over here. This area in the middle is your existing jail. And then on the front of the jail, on the east side of the jail, we're going to add square footage for the Sheriff's Department, because the Sheriff's Department is woefully inadequate as far as square footage is concerned. And then the same thing with the court. We're building a new court. So essentially what we're doing is the existing court is here, in this space right here. We're going to put the new court on this other side here. And then the existing Sheriff's Department is this tiny little space right here, which is going to become kind of like jail administration. And the new Sheriff's Department will come over here on this side. And then we're going to renovate the old court area for additional square footage in the Sheriff's Department. On the inside of the jail, we're going to keep as many of the cells as possible for one of two functions. Either your maximum security inmates that you put in smaller groups, or open up some of these areas for dormitories. Because one of the problems you have inside the existing jail is that the square footages really don't meet the current standards, and a lot of the things are just plain worn out. The locks and the doors and things like that, the mechanical systems are kind of worn out in the existing building. And then we are going to upgrade the intake and processing area of the jail to provide more holding cells, more group holding cells. We used to call them drunk tanks. We don't call them drunk tanks anymore. They're group holding, just for the record. And expand this vehicular sally port and so forth. So, that's kind of the original design. And what we're doing is still along the same lines. You still have the same problems you had back in 2005 when we were going to do this project before. It's just that they're worse now because, so 7 more years has gone by. So in this color-coded plan, we've identified what we're going to do. The primary need, the highest need, is to build the new cell block. You'll increase the capacity of the jail, and the kitchen and the laundry to support the additional beds. That's this gray area here. Now, one thing that we're thinking about doing different this time is that you see before we had a combination of modular cells and a combination of dormitories. It was a steel frame building with precast concrete walls and such. We think we can save quite a bit of money by redesigning the pods. And what we want to do, what we're thinking about doing is the structure of the building will be like a metal building. And we're going to go all modular steel cells in the interior instead of a combination of steel cells and dormitory space. And the combination of this will also reduce the size of our footings and foundations that we had to put under here. Because the footings and foundations on this side of the building have to go down about 14 or 15 feet because the way the grade slopes off there. So by changing the structural systems, changing the kind of footings and foundations, we can engineer fill that area and put more lighter weight footings and foundations on there, the lighter weight building, and the modular cells around the perimeter. So what this pod is 204 additional beds, because we're going to be losing some in the existing building, made up of 2-man cells, 4-man cells, and 8-man cells. And then around the perimeter of the building, you see there's like a corridor that goes all the way around the perimeter. That's a continuous plumbing and mechanical chase. So the secure perimeter of the building is actually the back wall of these modular cells. And then there's a 4-foot wide, minimum 4-foot wide plumbing chase all the way around to make maintenance a lot easier. Right now you're crawling around in these tiny little chases, and you got plumbing and electrical and all kinds of things in there. Maintenance is very difficult. One of the advantages to the rear chase design is the maintenance no longer has to go into the cell blocks to fix a plumbing or electrical problem. The inmates are in the cell blocks here, maintenance is all done on the back side. So you don't have to lock people down. You don't have to remember to take your tools with you when you leave and things of that nature. So if we make maintenance easier to happen, it's more likely to happen and will help extend the life of the building. Then included in here, we also have indoor and outdoor recreation space, which is required by the federal standards and the state jail standards as well. So this area in gray is what we would consider to be the base bid. That's the most critical issue. And so we're going to take the entire design that we did before and divide it up into bid packages. So Shireman can say, okay, well, this is the base bid, and this is going to be alternate number 1, this is going to be alternate number 2, and we will build we'll get exact, instead of working off estimates that we put together, you'll have exact numbers on bid day. Say, okay, I want to do base bid and alternate number 2 and 3. That's what I want to do. And so you can get the most bang for the buck that way and tailor the project to your most immediate needs. So that will be the base bid project. Then alternate number 1, we're recommending the new lobby. This is that gray area here, because your existing building stops about right here, and then we're adding the court and the sheriff's department. So in order to make these two functions work, we need to have the lobby first. So we're recommending that alternate number 1 be the lobby and all of the site work that is on the east side of the building. So basically, when we expand the sheriff's department and the court out to the east, we have to replace all that parking. So we're going to put new parking and some new utilities, storm drainage, and things like that. So the lobby and the site work will be alternate number 1. The reason we need to do the lobby first is one of the things that we're going to incorporate into the jail as a staff saving, operational saving measure is video visitation. And we need a place in the lobby for the public to come in and sit in a video visitation lobby, and then the inmates would stay in their cell blocks to do video visitation on the other side. That reduces the amount of movement in the jail and reduces some of the impact on the staff to help keep our staffing numbers and our operational costs down. So the lobby and the site will be alternate number 1. Then on alternate number 2, what we're recommending is that the courtroom here will build out the shell of the courtroom. Put in footings and foundations, exterior walls, windows, and the roof, and just enclose that space as a shell for alternate number 2. And alternate number 3 will build out the interior of that space. And what that does, it gives you the flexibility that, if we say, we want to just shell out an area, we'll finish it out later, you can do that. If the bids come in favorably and if we consider it to be cheaper in the best interest of the county to finish it out now, we can do that. Then alternates 4 and 5 are similar on the sheriff's department. We'll build the shell of the new part first as an alternate, and then build out the interior with the the floor and the walls and finishes and the lights and so forth as another alternate. And then alternate number 6 is the renovation of this blue area, the intake and processing center. One of the things that we considered before was when we designed the project last time, what we were doing is we're basically this blue area, we were gutting the entire building. Taking out the ceilings, all the walls, even ripping out the floor so we could rework all the plumbing and such. One of the things that we're looking at doing is maybe there's a way to save some money by utilizing more of the rooms as they exist, and for instance, taking the old cells and just making holding cells out of them, or removing a couple of cells and making medical cells or a medical exam out of them, rather than doing a wholesale gut and renovate. We think that saves a significant amount of money. What we'd like to do is take this to the sheriff and say, okay, well, here's another way of doing this. What do you think? So this is one of the things that we'll design this, if the county thinks it'd be a good alternate to look at, as well as designing the pod. The rest of the building the design's going to stay pretty much the way it was. Mechanical, electrical systems, like I said, we'll update the pieces of equipment, but the actual design will stay pretty consistent. But what we'll do from a plan standpoint, each of these parts and pieces, as far as the alternates are concerned, will be identified on the plans as separate packages, so the bidders know how to structure their bid into these packages. One of the things that we might want to consider too as an option would be consider the use of an energy savings contract or performance contract, perhaps, to do some of the renovations. There might be an advantage to it, there might not, I don't really know, but the one thing that I might suggest is that the county could, or we could, RQAW could put together a request for qualifications, if you would like, and select an energy savings contractor and maybe work with us to put together some ideas of what they might be able to bring in an energy savings package. Again, that's an option, something we might want to talk about a little bit, but it's something that we could do. We could solicit qualifications, we could get some proposals. It doesn't commit the county to actually doing it, but it's another way of maybe skinning the cat in some way, so we might want to consider that. In order to run this past all the powers to be in the county that we need to do this, we would like to establish kind of a regular design meeting every 2 weeks or so with a committee of some sort. And I think we really need to have the sheriff and the judge sit down with them every couple of weeks. Is what we need to do is go back from the beginning and say, okay, here's what we had. Let's critique it. And here's some of the things we think we can do better. What do you think of that? Before we get into doing too much, too far down the road. So we would like to have your permission to set up a committee to work with on a regularly scheduled meeting every 2 weeks. And then we come back to you and report on our progress and what we think we'd like to do for your approval. One of the things on the construction of the new pod, if we change the structure to a metal building and different foundations and so forth, we may be changing the mechanical system back here too, because with the old design, we had some rooftop units. I can't remember how many, 4 or 5 rooftop units on the roof. Well, if we have a metal building, we won't be able to put those on the roof anymore. So we'll be looking at putting some air handling units either in the corners of these mechanical rooms or something outside. Which actually, if we put these things outside or in the building, it's going to be easier to maintain than if they're on the roof, especially on those cold, snowy days. And maybe, make maintenance easier and reduce the cost again. So we'll be looking at that. As far as a community awareness, we're also willing to make presentations as we all see fit as far as informing the public of what we're thinking. Again, no decisions have been made so far, and we're just starting, saying here's an approach. Let's get into the details of this and make sure that this is the way we want to work it. So we're ready to start that. And then from a schedule standpoint, as I said, it'll take about 4 months to go threvise the design process. which will parallel track the financing process pretty consistently. We'd like to get the project out for bids in the, shortly after the first of the year, and start construction in the spring. If everything goes well, we can start construction as soon as the weather permits in the spring. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that you might have over anything that I might have said. Yes, Tom?
You did comment on something that I was going to ask about. I want to make sure, though, that if it's going to be part of the bid package, is the parking.
Yes.
It's going to be, and I would assume, because you talked about bid package being the pot, one would be the pod in the lobby, which, at what point, I guess, when we do the build out, when we do the clearing out and the earthwork for those 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, at that point, that's going to be taking up parking, and we're going to have.
Right. The pod being down here really won't, by building the pod and adding these beds, you'll have a minimal impact on the need for more parking.
Oh, yeah.
What drives the parking. And so alternate number one, when we build this, like this would be the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
This lobby would be the second, and the site work would go at the same time the lobby is done.
We'll start working out how to do the parking lot.
Because what we'll probably do is when we build the parking lot, then we will tabletop this area for the future construction of the court as far as the grading is concerned, the court and the sheriff's department. So this will all be tabletopped and prepped to receive a building at some point in time. And then so when we do the alternates to build these shells, that site work is already prepared, is the way what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There's lots of room to east for the parking.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem there. What's the maximum number of inmates can be housed with the?
Let's see, we got 204 in here, and I think it's another 80, 60. I think I've got
250, 60.
Yeah, something like that. About 260 units roughly.
Because I know it depends on what we do down there on the.
Yeah, because one of the things that we talked about before, we had on these cells, we're actually talking about in order to, in the older section, what you'll be able to do initially is pretty much vacate the existing part of the jail and put all the inmates over here. And then you kind of grow back into the jail again in the future. But these things, the locks and the doors and everything are pretty rough condition. And so we're looking, through the design process, we'll look at, okay, well, what's better? What makes more sense for us? Do we repair the locks and repair the doors and things like that? Or do we just remove all of them and convert these areas to dormitories for like work release inmates and things of that nature, which I kind of favor that, is renovating it that way. Because you're going to have all the cells, that you need over here.
That would be a later decision, right?
That's right. Well, what we'll do is we'll make some of those decisions during the design phase, and we'll design it as such and bid it. But you can leave these as is for as long as you want, or you can renovate it when you want.
And we'll know costs and things on these broke out areas on bid day. So where we can go down and, you can cherry pick.
So we're still looking at that then as an alternate.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But we'll know the pricing on these alternates on bid day.
And those interior, we kind of discussed as alternate 6 being the interior renovation. That might be broken down in a couple other pieces as well. Ms. Jones?
Joe, do you know how many are on work release right now that could be put in that area there?
I do not know the number of work released before. When we analyzed this before, part of I might even have it in here. When we did the study and we looked at operating cost, one of the offsets to the operating cost was have work release inmates who were paid like per diem. For instance, you put an inmate in the cell over there, you're paying the full freight for these people.
Right.
People that might be on work release and something over here might be paying something, $10, $25, whatever, a day for the privilege of being on work release and keeping their.
I think they paid
Good job.
$10 a day, I'm not sure.
So in before, I can't remember, we had something there was a number of additional work release inmates that would help offset some of the additional operating costs. I don't have those numbers right off the top of my head, but we had planned that previously.
I've got a question on how do you separate the males and the
Okay, very good question. One of the things that's different about this design is, and I don't think we did a second level plan, but the control room for this housing pod is actually 10 feet up in the air. So you have this control room with the floor 10 feet in the air, and then there's glass all the way around it. You're actually looking down into all of these cell blocks. So from this control room, we have one person here that will actually have visibility over all 204 inmates at the same time. Because that control room is elevated off the floor, all the walls on the lower level below the control room are solid block walls. And the doors that will have glass in them will have a shutter on them as well. So that from a sight and sound separation, we have to maintain sight and sound separation between males and females. We can put males and females anywhere in this pod and still maintain sight and sound separation. You also will have the flexibility with some of your older cell blocks. If you want to separate females in one section of the building and males in another, you can do that too. But this particular pod is designed such, unlike jails built over the last 20 or 30 years or so, that you can put, like if you've got, let's say this pod right here has 12 beds in it. If you got 6 females, you can put them in a smaller pod. If you have 24, you put them in one of the larger pods, or if you need to separate them. And it doesn't matter. The square footage requirements and the plumbing requirements as far as toilets, showers, and lavatories will meet the standards, because the standards dictate there's more plumbing fixtures for women than there are men. For example, showers. The standards for showers and for males are like one shower for every 12 inmates. For females, it's one for every 8.
Go figure.
So what we do is we design the whole building for 8. And so you can put females anywhere in the building. So this operationally will give you a lot more flexibility. Because one of the things we found too, I started designing jails in 1981. The average female population in a jail at that time was 1.5%. I'm working in some counties right now that it's 28% females. And it's because of drug offenses and meth and things like that. That's an equal opportunity offense. And there's more women getting involved in those kind of offenses and a lot higher female population in the jail.
Is that recreation area indoor then in the new pod?
We're going to change, we're working on this a little bit yesterday. We're going to change this. This is going to be an indoor and outdoor recreation. It's actually probably going to come down to this outside wall. Because what we'd like the standards say, I tell people all the time, I play by the rules, I don't make these rules up. But the jail has to have indoor recreation of a minimum of 1,000 square feet with a minimum ceiling height of 18 feet. Then you also have to have outdoor recreation, minimum of 1,500 square feet with an 18-foot ceiling height. So what we do is we put a combination indoor-outdoor recreation area, and this will be extended down here to an outside wall. And high up on the wall, we'll have a rolling shutter, kind of like a coiling overhead door, shutter with a security screen behind it. That in nice weather, like a day like today, you could go out in the recreation area, you could be under a roof, but we can open up that coiling shutter and have fresh air and sunlight and everything come into the building. And that meets the standards for outdoor recreation.
So Stark County,
Yes, we've done that. We started doing that sometime back in the 90s. That it basically kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Because you find a lot of jails, you have a separate, independent outdoor recreation area. It doesn't get used all that much. You would think they'd go out there and use it more, but they don't. It's either too hot, it's too cold, or it's raining. Well, when you have a combination, it'll get a lot more use. And the other thing that we're doing here, that we're refining, we're going to fit 2 classrooms back here in the housing pod too to operate programs. Could be church services, GED, Alcoholics Anonymous, or whatever there might be. We're going to incorporate a couple of classrooms.
What do you do with the old outbuild, the one that's there now?
What we're going to do is probably enclose this and make another program space out of it. Because there's actually, in the 2 different designs for the housing, there's a room up here that was in this one kind of, here it is, this multi-purpose room. We're going to keep this multi-purpose room as a classroom, In the previous design, we gutted that and made that part of the intake and processing center. But I think more of those opportunities, many of those classrooms and things like that we can have in the jail, the more programs the county, because, there's all kinds of volunteer programs, a lot of social services and agencies out there that are willing to operate things like this in the jail. But right now, you just don't have the physical space to be able to do something like that.
What's that rectangle on the north, or the northeast corner? Yeah.
Just here, that's your existing, there's a mechanical yard out here. One of them is a generator and one's the electrical transformer. So there's a lot of stuff running around in there, so we can't do much with that. We have to build around that.
Can you bring up the reason we didn't want to build underneath? Remember, we had talked
Right.
about that.
There's, one of the things that was discussed was building a basement underneath the pod for space. And there was a lot of discussion over what can we do with that space. And one suggestion was, well, instead of putting the court out here, we put the basement, put the court in the basement. Well, and the reason this is considered is that the grade slopes off, and it's at least a 12-foot drop from back of the jail to this point. So you're going to have to build some deep foundations. The problem with occupying this space is it's kind of, number one, it's expensive to build at this particular location. Like when you build a basement under a house, you already have a crawl space. So build a basement, under a crawl space, not that big a deal. When you build a basement under a jail, you're talking about, this is a 2-story building. You have cells stacked on top of one another. So you're building a structure that's going to support a floor and a mezzanine. So you have a lot of structure. And then, code-wise, unlike your basement at home, I have to light it, put smoke detectors and sprinklers and heat and cool it a certain amount, even if it's nothing but storage. And you're going to spend about $1 million creating that space and not solving any of these other problems. If you put the court over here, your parking's all the way on the other side of the building. How do you get people from the parking lot over to here? So that potentially available space proved to be expensive and just plain in the wrong place to make it convenient to use it for anything else.
Plus, I think you brought up, if you have any water leaks or anything, it's going to...
Yeah, especially...
It won't be long till the inmates are going to understand the courts are right under us.
Yeah.
Right.
We're beating on the
Plug up the
floors, or
toilets
we're
and-
plug a toilet or whatever.
It happens a lot.
If that's all right. The little committee meetings that you want to have every 2 weeks, will they be open to the public?
Generally, design meetings typically aren't. I don't know that, we need to have them there. That's something we need to decide. Typically, we don't, in order to get something done, we make sure the committee isn't done too large, so we don't ever have a majority of the commissioners or a majority of the council there at any given time. And then we come back. Typically, we don't have them open. I don't know that they wouldn't be, but
we report our findings back to the commissioner and the public.
so when we meet every 2 weeks, then our job would be come back here to the commissioners and report to the council. Because there's not really, in these design meetings, you don't really make the decisions. You make kind of recommendations of what we think we ought to do, and the decisions are made here.
Well, I mean, we've had subcommittees that have made decisions with most of the board being there, and if they are closed to the public, then it's you don't know how many people show up. So, I mean, that's just something that's been happening in our community, and it's a little bit dangerous. This facility is capable of housing about 1% of our total population. It's a little bit iffy, and as far as how open to the public are you going to be? So, I mean, that's just a question I'm posing.
Well, I'll step in on that. We're very open to the public. It's not any secret that the county needs a jail. I think it's been well announced throughout Washington County that we need a jail. It's sad that we have to do it, but it's something that has to be done strictly because of the laws say we got to do it. So that's what we're doing. I appreciate Joe coming and giving us this report that he gave us, because he didn't have to sit here and go through this whole outline today. He could have done that at another period, but we do have a committee that's working diligently on getting this facility built and getting it built as cheaply as we possibly can, and that's what we're concentrating on now. If we get if we open that up to the public, a meeting like that, then all of a sudden, we get all kinds of ideas that actually don't work. We got professional people that's trying to make the proper decisions for us, bring it back to us, give it to the public, and say, here's what we recommend. Whether we take that or not, we got a chance to ask those questions, but it's all gonna be out in the open. It's not gonna be something that's confined to a certain number of people. It's all gonna be out there for us all to look at. And I think that's what we do. I don't think that anybody purposely goes behind closed doors and makes decisions that benefit this county. You know, I disagree with you, Rhonda, totally on that, and I'll be disagreeing with you tonight on it. But that's just the way it is. You know, we don't purposely go anywhere and try to do anything around behind people's back. We don't do that. And sometimes I really get aggravated because it seems like we always have these people on the outside coming and slamming at people, saying, well, they did this or they did that. They didn't know anything. Yes, you have a chance to know about it. It's right here. It's not anything in secret. I've been on here for 4 years, and I don't know of anything purposely that was done in secret to harm Washington County or the taxpayers. I don't believe that. And that's my opinion, but I really get aggravated, you know, whenever we say, well, we're trying to do things behind people's back, because we're not. Nothing is being done behind people's back, which brings me to a question. Sorry, I had to preach a little bit. We're talking about this, Joe, and one of the big issues here, of course, is the financing. That is one of the biggest. And we did go ahead and last meeting, I think, and we got with, give me your name, Tom, I can't remember names.
Lisa Lee.
Lisa Lee. And hopefully, we're going to go about this very cautiously. There's no doubt about it. Hopefully through bond issuing or whatever that she recommends. So, has she filled anybody in on any information in that respect, or is it too early? Are we too early in that area, Tom?
Not really. I mean, we know that we're looking at around a $12 million cutoff, and that's why we're doing the bid packages, so, you know, we've got to do that, figure out what the cost is, and then we'll go through the bond underwriting process.
But Lisa's pretty much put together an outline of the various steps we have to take. And like if there's a hearing on something, we need to advertise it for 2 weeks ahead of time and things of that nature. And so she's put together a preliminary timeline for that. But that's about it.
All right. But you know, the bottom line is, you know, everybody knows we need a jail, but everybody's going to be concerned, what's it going to cost us and how we're going to pay for it.
That's right.
I mean, that's the
That's
bottom
exactly
line,
right.
you know, and that's what we need to look at.
Yeah. And so, and that's why the design track and the financing track are kind of going parallel, because they're, you know, the financial advisor and the bond counsel is going to say, well, what's our construction cost? And say, well, we have estimates right now, but we need to, you know, depending on how we design this housing pod might be upwards of $1 million cheaper than what it was last time. So we need to get in a little more design work to give them better numbers, so we're going back and forth constantly. So we'll be parallel tracking a lot of this for the next couple of months.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I don't realize, I appreciate you letting me ask this. Due to the structure of that addition there, do you have any consideration to additions in the future? Will they be affected by the design there? And where will where are you allowing for that to happen?
Yeah. You can add a little bit this direction over here, but we're starting to get fairly close to the street that you won't be able to add another large pod like this. Probably there is kind of a limited amount. You have to kind of be careful about which direction you go. You can expand this way a little bit, but you get in kind of close to this building. One of the potential expansions too of this building, whatever that might be, 30, 40 years from now, would be the consideration of like an independent work release structure. Rather than doing work release in this building, do work release out of the building and then take those beds and make them, use them for more secure beds. So there's multiple different ways to achieve. And the other thing too is, looking at, I've done this a number of times before. It's not always about building more physical jails. Sometimes it's about programs. Sometimes it's about other alternatives and so forth. So I don't know that in the foreseeable future, or even beyond that the county necessarily needs more detention beds beyond this. It's other kind of programs, like I said, an independent work release program might be one of those alternatives to free up beds in here in the future.
Well, and I appreciate that, but in the event that there is, so what you're actually saying then is that we're limited to adding any more in that area.
It's possible, but you're not going to add this many again. Yeah, you'll be somewhat limited to future bed space.
Well, and I think the time that would happen, that we could foreseeably grow to that point, would be beyond the end of the useful life of this facility. I mean, if we've lasted 25 years?
Actually, it's been 35 years.
35 years.
Existing jail.
Okay, and, what we've done is we've kind of doubled the population in that period of the jail. Okay.
Well, I think, not to interrupt, but what have we doubled the population in the last 5 years? Have we done that? We're increasing population faster in the last 5 to 10 years than we have in the last 30 years. So with the problems we are having in our community, it seems like we're advancing faster than we'd like to, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that, again, there's a couple of things, but at that point in time, you begin to look at more alternatives to incarceration at that time. Because, right now, for instance, one of the things that's out there that we don't know what's going to do, but every time the legislature meets, we don't have any state legislators in the room, do we? But every time the legislature meets, there's new laws that the county has to comply with. There may or may not be funding in order to do. And one of those is the change in sentencing statewide and the removal of all Class D felons out of the state prison system back into the county jails. And so, and I haven't looked lately as to how many Class D felons that Washington County has in the state prison system, but let's say it's 30. 30 people come back to the county, you get up a place for them. So that's one justification for doing this. The other thing is, though, but at some point in time, that you have to look at, and this is a study for whatever that day happens, is, okay, what is the most appropriate kind of incarceration or program or whatever for the kind of inmates we have at this point in time? Because again, I would doubt seriously that in 30 or 40 years, the county really needs more jail beds. It probably needs something else. And in some counties, especially in the larger counties, it's easier to do. More work release programs or home detention or electronic monitoring or community service or whatever. The larger counties tend to have larger menus of alternatives to incarceration. So it's not always building. You'll never build your way out of it. And then what a lot of counties do is, once your jail gets so full, you say, okay, well, we need to do something. Then the courts and the prosecutor and the sheriff and everybody get together and say, okay, well, what modifications can we make in the way we do business to do some things differently? Maybe move people through the courts faster or send them to some alternative program. And then back it up. If you mess up in this alternative program you're not going to comply with, then you're in jail. Then you have the hammer, to put on the people that don't comply with the lesser, restriction. So there's all kinds of options there.
If that problem arose, could that midsection be reworked to, that would be quite a space in it to be?
This area here, Well, we get,
Between,
oh, this?
yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, if we,
That we worked in there.
yeah, if we open that up, and you could probably expand out this way a little bit more too. If you were to convert all of this into dormitory space, you're gonna pick up a lot of beds, because, that's, if you need more space in the future, I would tend to go toward a little more dormitory space. 'Cause under this scenario, you have enough of the locked up space. You go to your softer or less confined space in the future.
And besides that, Byron, that's about all of our land.
Well,
There on that.
exactly, that's what I'm wondering about. I mean, I don't know where your options are because you are restricted in what you're gonna do there. But I just, from what I have tried to read up on, because of the jail situation lately, is the increased population there has grown in 10 years, 5 years, more than it has in 30 years. It's like tripled, quadrupled, and all that due to the problems we're having with drugs and all. One more question, I appreciate you letting me do this, but we had a real bad tornado come through our area last year. What would be the preparation in like a structure like that? I mean, God forbid that happens, but seems like we're suddenly have gotten inside the tornado line. We never had them, and now we're having them. Not that. But what is that structure? What would we do in that situation with structures you've got?
Joe, let me answer that question. First Baptist Church is anticipating a new structure, and they are doing this very same thing, a safe room for tornado victims or whatever, flood victims. And also, this is something I would like to put in our building for the fairgrounds, to have a safe room also to
Yeah, but we're
use
not
it
going to put
24/7.
204 prisoners over there in the safe room with 1,900 families.
You're not talking about the prisoners.
You're talking about,
You're not talking about the prisoners.
Right. What are we gonna do with them?
Well, that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, one of the things, we talked about a metal building. And one of the things we've done a couple of jails in Florida. We've actually designed metal buildings to hurricane standards. So that's one thing. But in the case of a tornado or an earthquake, you want to be inside one of these cells. Because these are made of steel, and they're modularized components, and they're designed to withstand, by code, seismic requirements. And they'll withstand tornado as well. So inmates are locked in their cells. Those things are going to stay there. That's like these metal things you buy and you put in your garage. The metal tornado shelter you put in your garage, you bolt them down to the floor. That's kind of the way what each of these things is. So if inmates were locked in here, and certainly there's other areas in the building. Maybe in the old section we can do something. Find a safe room for that.
There is. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see anybody else. Joe? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Sure appreciate that.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Yeah, probably what, if it's okay with you, what we should do is make contact with the sheriff and the judge and see what day of the week would be convenient for them, or time of day.
Alternating of the commission.
And so we might, with the judge, we might have to meet over lunch or something like that. We'll figure out something that's, mutually convenient. Yeah, I think if there's, a member of the commissioners, a member of the council there too, so they can go back and communicate with their groups too in the interim, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have, should I go around the board first? Morse. Hey, that was one fine meal last night.
Thank you.
Fair had their annual fair board dinner last night. By the way, to announce to everybody, we'll go ahead and announce that. The fair next year, well, it's going to grab some people, will be the last week in June. I seen some ladies just jump last night when you announced that. I know that's early, but there's some schools looking at more of a year-round type school thing, I think, Salem and Eastern, aren't they? I don't know, somebody will have to help me out on that. Marcia, do you know?
They're looking at changing the
So, the
balance,
fair,
going to a balanced school
you know.
calendar.
so things have changed a little bit, so. But yeah, and we are, since he's here, and Jim Day, I'm sorry to skip you two guys, but I'll get back to you. Jim Day's here too. We did, I got with Jim last night. Jim and I both are on the grounds committee at the fairgrounds. And there is a trailer that's not livable sitting up there that's not being used, I guess now. It's no good. And we need to get rid of it. And the way I'm understanding it, Morris, Jim, you have to help me out. The county owns that trailer. Is that true? Jim says, yeah. So it's our trailer and our responsibility, and we need to get that out of there. I did talk to Randy last night. Come on, I'm going blank on that. I did talk to him last night. We did a survey of the fairgrounds. We're going to eliminate some lighting on the fairgrounds. Also, I talked with Jim. We've tried to come up with different ways to make sure that the fairgrounds is secure. Randy has volunteered to move his trailer up there, which he's very neat and does a good job. And we have to have the security, and Jim and I both have come to that conclusion that we're going to have it. Do you agree with that, Jim? I don't think we can get around it.
I think I understand, but explain why you would eliminate some lighting.
We got too many.
So there's like duplicate.
It's going to save us quite a bit of money a year. We took a look, and we got some big lights on the ends of some of those buildings. For instance, the two on the end, there's two big lights coming down right there at the corner. It lights up the whole area. There's pole lights in between them, and they're on. So in one area there, we counted 7 lights in a row. Well, we don't need that because 2 will light up the same area. We're really wasting a lot of electricity. And then there's a string out on the back part. We're just going to unhook those because you don't need them. There's nothing there. Okay? There is one that needs to be added, one, out by the cattle barn because it's real dark in that whole area there. That's the only place I've seen that we need to add one, but probably over half of them can be turned off. Okay? And then get the trailer, get it out of there. Gerald, I don't know, we may be calling on you. You may need some help with that. But it needs to go because it's not livable. It's pretty bad. And then we'll get Randy situated up there and get all this taken care of. I would recommend that to you gentlemen if you agree.
I'm okay with that. Bringing someone back up there for security purposes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to work on that. We'll report back. See what we can get done on that. Jim. There's our insurance man sitting back there behind Jared. What you got?
Nothing, I'm good.
I thought maybe he was gonna cut our insurance $500,000 or something.
That's the old man's part.
Oh.
You're not paying $500,000 for your property.
Will you go ahead and approve it? We'll just tell him you did?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Mr. Spaulding?
Thanks for having me.
I will say Hugh did take the initiative to forward to me an appraisal that was recently done for insurance purposes on the detention facility, and we're looking into, I've contacted the appraisal company to see the scope of that. It may or may not be something we can use in this process, but we are going to have to get some appraisals.
Okay.
But I want to thank you for doing that.
You should have received the updated version yesterday.
I did.
Good. I'm sure it's free, so it's good. Jim?
Well, the only thing I discussed with you other thing I discussed with you and Morsley both about having a set receipt book over there for the renting the building, renting out things, so that give each person a receipt, so you can track the money coming in, what comes in, everything, and with the new person coming on, now's the time to make sure it gets set up and done, so that
Fairgrounds.
At the fairgrounds is what I'm talking about, that it will be kept, so everybody knows exactly what comes in and everything, and another thing is to make stipulations of what his job responsibilities are at the fairgrounds. Sit down with commissioners and fair board to set out stipulations of what his job descriptions are to do at the fairgrounds, because somebody hollers about something that's not done right. Well, then if you've got to sit down, then you've got the person to go back and talk to.
Absolutely. And we did talk about too, and the commissioner's gonna have to really approve this and relay it to Morse. We did talk about it too, we closed down the fairgrounds, November, and open it up again in March. 1st of March. Well, I've got phone calls, I don't know if Jim has or not, of people wanting to use the facilities, and this year it's a little bit more because of the way the fair is. Matter of fact, Lindsay Wade Swift, who everybody knows, she called me about the 4-H Carnival of Fun, and they need the building, and they asked for it the first week in February. Well, you know, these are our kids, and they need to have a facility where they can have it. So I think we ought to go ahead and take care of that. And I'm not so sure that we shouldn't just open it up for somebody who wants to. We got a rental price on it. I think we ought to. I don't think we ought to have the closing. I think as long as we can pay the electricity bills, these are county buildings. And I think
Well, you've got to keep heat and everything in it anyway, so
Yeah.
if a person checks it afterwards and turns the heat and stuff back down where
Right.
when nobody's using it, then it's fine. But if you leave the heat set at 70 or 80 degrees, it's not any good. But if you've got a person in charge that goes and checks, makes sure the lights are turned off and everything's done, because you've got to have heat in there to keep things from freezing and everything in that building anyway, so.
So I think we ought to go ahead with that. You agree? Or
Leave it open year round.
I think we should. And then we'll include that into his job description too, to go by and check and make sure everything's taken care of. Okay? All right, John? Rhonda, I didn't forget you this time, went all the way to the wall.
It's all right, I remind you, I know.
I know.
November 8th, after the election, Indiana Proud is sponsoring a Connect the Community, we'll call it an event because, you know, I'm saying it. It'll be about 5:30 in the afternoon over at the Awareness Washington County building, because they do have internet, wireless internet, and so we can go ahead and connect to the internet and show exactly how it works and that kind of thing. This is free. It's open to the public, and churches, nonprofits, businesses, anybody that is looking at or needs the ability to communicate with the public, and even the government. Even though you've approved this and it's still not gone through or whatever, we need to go to the next step where we do actually connect the community and show what these free or next to nothing or whatever accounts that you have. If you have a Facebook page or account or YouTube account, you already have a Google Calendar. So, I mean, that's something else that needs to be put forward. My son had to remind me. So I love being corrected by my children. But I wanted to have it after the election, win, lose, or draw. I wanted to go ahead and include, if you do attend this thing, that you do get a subscription to mygoodbusiness.net. We open up the mall store on November 10th, and as part of My Good Business and my subscribers, I go ahead and line out what you have to do to go ahead and have a temporary mall store, or what you have to do to go ahead and have a store online. And so all of that information is available, but I didn't want to have it before the election. I didn't want it to be kinky or weird or whatever. But afterwards, win, lose, or draw, that's what the thing is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. There's something else, but
5:30.
right.
Okay.
I'll see if I can't find food someplace.
Okay. Byron. Mr. Keith.
Just want to thank everybody for the good job you guys are doing on this jail project. I think it's long overdue, and now it has to be done, and I think you guys are doing a good job. And I, as a citizen and a candidate, sure do appreciate it.
What's sad is that you have to do it.
Yes, it is, but we knew it, so there it is.
Bobby.
I'm good.
Gerald.
For Sarah, 3rd District, Blacktop, mile and a half on Vincennes Trail between West Horseman School Road and Possum Hollow Road. That was completed last week. Also, while that was going on, we had a truck involved in an accident. You've seen the paper, it was in there. The truck and the driver wasn't hurt or anything. The one that hit him, I guess didn't have any insurance, no license and all that, so all what was coming out of that. The chip and seal that you've been asking about is over for the year. So we'll have to wait, pick up on that first of next year.
Yeah, we're not gonna wait on it. We're gonna go ahead and pursue it. We know what the operation is, so we're gonna go ahead and pursue it, and I'll be setting up a meeting with commissioners of Orange County, and we'll just go ahead with that.
I was just talking about as far as going out and seeing
Yeah,
it. Like that.
actual seeing it.
Right.
We've been driving on it, so we know what it's like.
And in regard to the trailer at the fairgrounds, if you want the highway department to do it, the sooner the better, while the weather's favorable.
Okay.
So as soon as you let us know on that.
Just get with Randy.
Well,
You just want it gone.
Correct, Jim?
can we salvage?
I'm sure some of it.
That's probably still.
It's still hooked electricity and everything, yeah, probably. So it's working. Yeah,
Is it owned by the county?
it is owned by the county.
Okay.
John, you raise your hand.
I was just curious, John, the striking on Balls Road, I hadn't heard anything about that.
I was gonna bring that up. Floyd County called late last week, and they're about ready to start striping, so I need to get with you. I think they're gonna need 2 guys, trying to get the arrangements on getting the paint and everything, so I'll let you know. So hopefully, in the next few weeks, we'll get that done. But I've been waiting on Floyd County to call me and let me know when they're ready to bring the equipment.
It was getting late in the year, so I thought I'd
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
Is the fair board going to, in charge of taking electric out of it, or disconnecting it, or?
Junior will take care of that. Okay, what else you got here?
I guess whenever they get that done, of course, there's somebody letting me know, we'll try to get it out of there. While the weather's halfway decent.
Good.
Everybody needs their own working out there and park.
Absolutely.
David, good.
Is that all you got? I'm sorry, Gerald.
Yes,
Can I ask you something, Dave? I'd asked you about my road down there, about that oil, and I want to know if Gerald ever had got down there to look at it, it hadn't been done yet.
I went down and looked at it, and Temples have no more oil for the season. They're out, and they don't want to get a whole semi-load in, that's how they have to get it. So, we have to wait till next season.
About right.
But they are out of that kind of oil.
Is there any other type that they would have out there we could put down?
No, it has to be a certain kind.
We can't use a different grade.
No. They get that in by Tanker Road, deal with the roads and they are out for the season. I did check on it.
Jill, how many miles did you say that was? The
Mile and a half.
Mile and a half, okay.
Marcia. Attorney Cyphers?
Yeah, I'd like to, I don't know if it's Morsley or you, Commissioner Brown, or Jim David, someone, this job description thing, you're right. But we need to do that really for all jobs in the county. And it's one of the things on my back burner to do. I've got a whole list of these things that need to be done. But we want to make sure that they're kind of in a consistent format. But this is something that needs to be done immediately because we're starting a new person in a new kind of position. And I want to, if one of you can sit down with me in the next couple of weeks and say, here's all the things, and it can even be by phone. So that's on my list. We had approved the codification of our local ordinances. I want you to know that I've received a draft of the ordinance book, and I'm happy to go through it. This is dozens, if not hundreds of pages, and I'm going through that and looking for accuracy and corrections and double checking penalties and things like that for the company. The company sent me a list of things that I have to check on, and that's got to be done by the end of the month. So there's a lot of things like Google Apps, things I haven't gotten to. There's a lot of things I'm having to, when I find time, because I've got other things that aren't back, things that have deadlines. So those are two projects, the job applications or job descriptions and the ordinance book that are important. So I did put the Google Apps calendar back on my to-do list. 2 weeks ago, I had on my list and followed up with CyberTech regarding the phone issue. I don't know if this all may be resolved, I don't know, but I've not made contact with Pam or Gerald. But I do know, when I speculated, I was right, that these lines, that what happened was we ended up getting another T1, essentially a T1 line. That's what that PRI is, it's a T1 line. We had two, one to the courthouse, one to this area, the government center, detention center. We got a third one and re-contracted 3 for the same cost as the original 2 we had. The unfortunate thing is it all got put on the highway department's bill because that was the new. So all of a sudden you're paying for the overall T1 lines going to for the whole county. So I don't know if that all got worked out, but
It has.
okay. Now, so that was issue number one, was that huge cost. Issue number two is that marginal expense for the phone line, I mean, not for the phone line itself, but the actual phone contracts for the highway department. Is that within an acceptable range? I mean, I don't know if this is something you've heard about, because there was some concern about even if those lines, those charges, if we just look at the phone expense for the highway department alone, not these T1 lines, there was a concern it was going to be like $600 a month. Did that get resolved?
I discussed this with Bill. He was out the other day. And I think when we finally get everything with the new lines being put in and the bill paid, and we finally see what the actual bill is going to be, then we will know what it is. Right now, I don't know exactly what the bill's going to be until actually everything is paid and we get everything caught up. Then we will know. Then I will let you know.
All right. Well, I'm the one that raised the issue. You can go ahead and tell them, Tom. I'm the one that raised the issue because I was hot about it. $600 and some a month for a telephone bill is ridiculous, especially since we've spent the last almost 2 years, right? Almost 2 years with having phones that only worked half the time and sometimes never at all. Why are we paying monthly bills at that expense and not even having a phone system? The employees out of the county are using cell phones because they can't get others to work.
They still are because the others aren't working.
Still have one in the shop. They're
So
using
why are
it.
they,
There's
why are
$600
they trying to bill us? That's only my question.
We just entered into a brand new contract. This has not been going on for 2 years. We couldn't get a solution that worked under our, this all started, and this isn't anyone's fault, but Washington County's. I mean, we had a contract with Matrix, and that service has ended. Okay, and we don't have, that's come to an end. So we've got phones that service that's not working at the highway department. It's incumbent on us to resolve that. So we contacted CyberTech, and this is outside the scope of their contract with us, and said, got a problem out there. They've tried a couple fixes, they've tried aerial, wireless type things, or adjust what was set up as a wireless system by our previous, and this was all done by our previous in-house IT guy, as part of that overall project. And so when you say for the last 2 years, that was not $600 a month. I don't want someone to believe we've been paying $600 a month for phone service. It doesn't work. So we contacted CyberTech, who contacted Frontier and said, okay, let's run a whole new line. Let's do, if we have to go back to analog, we'll do whatever. We need phones that work. And so a new line got laid, and this is a brand new thing, and now for whatever reason, we still have service that's not working. And so is that,
It's been down a couple times since they've redone this.
if I call the highway department, do they have to hang up and say, let me call you back on my cell phone?
Plus, they do not have the line going into the shop yet. There is no phone in the shop.
Okay. So the work's not completed?
No.
Okay, that could be why they don't work, because the work's not complete.
So my question was, we don't pay bills until it's fixed.
Well, and so,
I mean,
and that's the crux of my question. Where are we on that? Because our deadline to pay that bill before we start accruing late fees was a certain time. Have we lodged a complaint with Frontier?
I think the bill's been paid.
Okay. All right. We need to make sure that we're still pursuing this at an angle.
I mean, the bill was for the line and that. I mean, it wasn't anything, that's what the bill was for.
Okay, so it wasn't a phone service to the highway department alone, or that may have been included as part
No,
of
I
it?
think it was strictly for putting this line in and stuff.
All right.
So the line's been installed. So now we're gonna wait and see what our monthly bill is. Correct?
Yeah, but I'm not sure the line is.
Are we saying that it's not installed yet?
They installed a new one, well, I took it from Seymour somehow for the county, but they have not all been replaced in the building yet.
So they still gotta come and replace them all in the building?
Somebody does.
And that's part of the bill we just paid. Is that correct?
That I don't know.
And they know, but they know that, I mean, as far as.
I don't know that that's
Bill
true
does. There is no phone in the shop, period. They have to run a new line, the way I understand it. I don't know if it's Frontier or if it's them.
I just, it's my understanding Frontier's had a lot of problems since they took over. And we're not alone in dealing with this.
Where are we on
If it's a
the?
very high monthly bill, it needs to go for numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we might not have no phones, they don't work, not paying them.
Because our understanding, what we signed was a contract for another line, another T1 line or PRI, but still at no extra expense because we were able to get renew the contract, get three for the same cost we were paying for two. And then we just assumed that it would be just whatever a phone line is for any other county office, we're just adding one out to the highway department, or 5, or 3, or whatever. Lines out to the highway department, the same rate would be paying anyone else, because we got different offices out there. We have the building commissioner, who's also the planning commissioner. We've got EMA, 911, highway department, different offices in there. So we're gonna have several lines. This isn't gonna be a $30 a month expense. Now, you got several commercial phone lines, it's not gonna be an extra $30 a month.
Well, I understand that.
But we're gonna have, so imagine, if we've got, how many lines are we looking at?
There's 6.
6, and because you're gonna have more than one to the highway department, just like any business might have more than one. You're gonna have several people who might be on the.
We got 2, 911, EMA, and.
No, I'm talking about within the highway department themselves.
Well,
Just like the auditor's office has several phone lines within the auditor's office, so that more than one person will be on the phone. You don't want people getting a busy signal just
Just got
because.
6.
Okay,
But there's 6 lines at the highway.
There's 6 different phones, yes.
so,
Can you not have the calls, if the phone's still not working, can you not have them forwarded to your cell phones till they get that fixed?
The answering machine will take it. If the phone's not working, just like it did before.
I'm just wondering if you didn't use the answering machine and just did the call.
well, who would we forward it to? Pam?
To the,
Well, we don't know who it's to, though. See, they call in, they might want to talk to him, they might want to talk to Rick, they might want to talk to Pam herself, they might want to talk to another foreman. If a call comes into the highway department line, that's Pam's job. Pam is, she'll divvy up the calls and leave the messages. If who would we forward it to? So, I guess we could forward it to Pam's cell
yeah,
phone.
Pam's cell phone's what I was thinking.
When the phones actually wasn't working, the answering machine was, for some reason. Make no sense if it was.
All right. Has there been any contact?
No, no.
What I'm talking about is
The router.
several weeks ago, probably 2 months ago plus, you approved a router for this building. And Ron raised the concern of, where do I place it? I don't want to step on anybody's toes. So can CyberTech give me some direction on where to place this? And I have made multiple inquiries to do that. I don't know if one of you wants to make contact or.
Yeah, you know, I have it, it's cool, we can, I mean, after November 10th, I'm gone. I'm gone. So, you know, I could come in anytime and go ahead and plug it in and program it. The mall thing, yeah, I won't come down
You're a mall
for.
cop, aren't you?
Say what?
You're a mall cop in the Christmas?
No, I should be. No, they have security up there for me.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Real classy.
They go by, okay, she's there, all right, we're good. Yeah.
All right, and that's all I've got.
No, they just want a place, all she wants is where to put it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I mean, you know, I need to have a live connection to separate it out from the rest of the network and to have it separated out, but have a live connection. I can, you know, I've tried plugins over here, they don't work, okay, which is fine. There's like a network.
CyberTech gonna have to set up a connection?
They may say so, I don't know. I mean, you know,
If they have to set up
when,
a connection, won't that cost us?
Yes, it will. I've
Will
already
it
been
be
talking to
charged?
him.
What?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
If they have to, I assume so. So I think that's something we need to clear up. I mean, part of the approval was based on the notion that we needed these.
It wasn't gonna cost us anything, so John, we need to find out. Ask her.
Well, I have talked to Dave, and I have asked him, and I told him to get me a quote. I want to know what the county's responsible for, what the county has to pay to do this,
To do what?
to put the router in.
Okay, that's probably a bad idea. Okay, that explains one of his emails to me. Because we had a directive where she's gonna take care of it, not CyberTech,
right.
at no cost. And so what's happened is, that explains one of their emails to me, is, okay, what do you want us to put on this? Do you want, what kind of controls, what
Well,
kind
and
of...
that's what he was asking about.
And he's not doing it.
I'm doing
She's
it.
doing it.
I'm setting
She
it up.
just wants to know where to put it. And that's where, okay, we're getting our hairs crossed here.
Right, yeah, see, this is not any manual labor by there or technical labor, I just need a place to plug in. And I can go ahead and program the router, I've done it several times, so that, you know, you have the child protection
What
and the
Sarah's
password.
saying though is,
Okay, then they.
right now, in this room, is there a place you can plug it in?
There's a plug-in over there, you
said
plug
it
in
don't
over
work?
there.
But it
Yeah.
don't work?
It doesn't, you have to be allowed into it. So I don't know if that's Purdue's extension, you know, line, or they have to know where all the lines are.
Okay.
So wherever I can plug it in is where I can leave it. And,
Find that out. Who you talk to?
Right, and so I don't know.
But my point is, let's make it clear to Cybertech that we've authorized them to do this, we're not asking them to do this. The question is, you guys understand the distinction, so that, because.
Yeah,
Right, I'm not a hacker getting into the network.
we just
I'm
want to make sure that Cybertech's not going to come in here and set up a new setup, because they will charge for that, we know.
$500.
Something we've already done, then that's fine. Okay,
Right.
all right, where was I?
John, I think I'm next.
Tom, were you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I want to bring up the copy machines. I think we all have gotten calls, commissioners, from I think Bedford Office Supply, or Danny Newby, who used to work there. Make sure we don't rush into something that may or may not save county money. I mean, really, if we, she presented those figures from Rico, what's her name?
Yeah.
I don't remember her name, but, for us to do a comparison, I think we should give the opportunity for our current vendor, show us actually what we're paying.
Yeah, or at least consult, because he's no longer working for them, but I think the issue is also, I was under the impression, without asking this directly, I was under the impression that all these were under lease with the exception of maybe one. The opposite is true. I think there's only one lease, and we own all the rest. So we don't, if we've got copiers that we've paid for that are working, we probably don't want to start leasing them just to get a cheaper maintenance rate, as opposed to, and this is something Sarah brought up to me after the meeting, and when she went back and looked at things also, but Danny has talked to me as well, but he contends it's his memory, having been involved in 90% of them, that we own them. So if we own them, it's not broken, we probably don't want to be signing a contract. So, and I'm not sure that that's where she was going with that, because I thought she was talking about phasing them in as the leases ended, we'd start new leases. So I was under the impression that so we need to take a closer look at that, because that, I feel either misled or just like I really misunderstood something.
So that's what she did say.
I thought so too. And maybe he's wrong, because he's going from memory. So, but it's something you're right, we need to look at closer.
Yeah.
And I
So
guess,
you're suggesting we table this?
yeah, table this until we get better information from our current vendor on what we're paying. And I want to talk about the Plan Commission and what's going on there. We're still having, we had a subcommittee meeting first of the month, and it was after our regular Plan Commission meeting. But I would, encourage the commissioners, and we need to probably post notice, but we're getting into the crunch time on adopting something. But we really would like to get something by the end of the year, which means I think we have to vote on it the first meeting in December. I think it has to go through two. Does that sound right? I think Carrie said something about it.
Yeah, I've not looked that up. I don't know if that's.
But
Are you going to have the planning commission then here before us, the first meeting in November?
I wouldn't
For
say
the
first
proposal?
meeting, probably the
Second?
second meeting, I'm hoping.
Okay.
But I would encourage, if you can
Shaking
attend,
your head no.
I'm just doing the math in my head.
it's probably, I don't know, we're just really, I'd like to get this done by the end of the year. Now, this is just for the ag part. This is just one segment of the whole, of all the ordinances. But, and I did meet with two of the Tyson representatives this week. I just went down there and talked to them about, our concerns and the way we can try to work with them. Because any way you'll look at it, there's economic impact on the county, and we're going to be making some very huge decisions here on setbacks or what we're going to try to regulate So, just, and I'm saying this to the candidates out there too, I'm not gonna be here after the first of the year, and the candidates need to educate themselves and be honest with the voters in the next couple of weeks on their stance on the Plan Commission, because I don't want to see what happened 10 years ago, 12 years ago, where the commissioners got elected in the first 30 days and they disbanded the Plan Commission and sent us back to where we were. So we've come a long way. We're getting close. So I just encourage everybody to get educated in what we're trying to accomplish here. But if you can attend the Plan Commission just to hear what we're talking about on setbacks, because ultimately, whatever we vote, it's coming back to the commissioners to make the final decision. So if we need a post notice just to be safe, first Monday of every month. I don't think the commissioners need to go to all the meetings in the future, but I just think that the ones that are coming up are going to be very important, and we've got some tough decision to make on setbacks and other things, lot sizes. That's all I have. And like I said about the striping, I'll get with you. Floyd County's ready.
John?
I got a phone call from Mr. Edward Duke, who lives on East State Road 160, and it was about the disposal of a tree, partial of a tree at North Cemetery, and I brought it up to Gerald, and the man wrote us a nice letter. He says, "It is deep with appreciation and heartfelt thanks that I'm writing to you. You have certainly made a lasting impact on our area of Washington County. I was at my last straw and now to have the old tree removed and the area cleaned up so the North Cemetery could be properly mowed and taken care of. Fortunately for our community, we have a caring and understanding board of commissioners and a great work crew that came to our aid. I still can't believe how fast you responded to my request. Thank you, Commissioner, for all your help, and please pass on all those who helped our deep appreciation and gratitude. Again, thanks to all for making our little end of the world a better place." So I'd like to thank Gerald for getting on that right quick and taking care of the problem. This North Cemetery is at the intersection of Painful Lane and Watts Lane, and Gerald got on right quick, and the man appreciated it very much. The only other thing I have is I was at the courthouse the other day, and the custodian over there showed me a box of plaques and things that the commissioners had received over the years. And I told him I'd bring it up to the next meeting to see if we wanted to put some of those up on our walls the city has in their city hall building. We can, I can bring it up to the next meeting and go through it. We can put some up, all reject or whatever. So whatever you want to do.
Okay. Sarah?
I just have claim payables on here.
I've got just a couple of things. Attended the Fair Board meeting, annual dinner last night, and help me, Morris, Kevin was installed back in as treasurer of the board. The new president is who?
I'll be president next year.
Okay.
Sharon was elected.
Reinstated as secretary.
Right. And of course, the other two members will stay the same.
They stay the same.
Next year we'll have, it's staggered. We have election every year, but it's staggered.
I just wanted you to update me on that. I think I was just too full of the food. It was very good.
Well, I was glad you was full, but that is a little, if you don't know, that's a little confusing.
Also, had a solid waste meeting yesterday, and the solid waste board and the solid waste manager, we have struck a deal with the city of Salem. You know, we handle all the sludge for the city of Salem. for a certain price. And it's very economical for us to come up with our own drying system out of the solid waste area. And that will be almost ready within the next week or two, the concrete and the layers and all that. So we'll be drying the sludge, and what we do with that sludge, they use it for covering, in the dump, so it really is beneficial.
Landfill.
Yeah, the landfill. When I was a kid, we called it dump.
Mike cringes every time he hears that word.
I think that's like Joe and his drunk tank, it's gotta be something different now. Times have changed. So, anyway, that's a plus for us. And all the time, we're needing some kind of dirt or rock or something out there. Goldman's, who have been building working on the bypass of the truck route, have delivered, for almost a month and a half now, 20 to 25 truckloads of dirt a day that's been going out there. So Mike's got it all ridged up and piled and ready to go. And Gerald, you might have to help me on this, but I don't know how many loads of riprap that they give us out there. It's been a bunch. It's really been a bunch. And they're not only giving it to us, they're coming out there and saying, okay, where you want it and how you want it done, and then they bring in their heavy equipment and take care of it. So, and it's really appreciated by them. Also, Gerald's, they made a new roadway out there. We've been hauling rock out there from our local quarry because they wanted that type. They want that grade of rock because it's soft. And we've hauled over 30 truckloads.
Yes.
And still hauling.
Still hauling. We're building a new road down through there.
We're building a new road out there with that stuff. So things are looking a little positive there. So that was all that went on in the meeting. We did bid out some bales of cardboard and got rid of that. I think that's all I have. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to accept the claims. Tom confused me, looked up and panicked. I thought, what do you got? I don't know what you got.
I'll make the motion.
The motion been made and seconded to approve the claims of payroll. Everybody in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion been made to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.